cake decorating icing or the stuff you use to pipe decorations on cakes and cupcakes. This is a very simple, easy recipe, and it turns out pure white because we're ultimately going to use white Crisco. So the first thing we want to do is sift the powdered sugar. Okay, this is 2 pounds of name brand powdered sugar. And I just use my hand. It's very simple, very easy. I learned the basis of this technique from my mom. I altered her frosting recipe so that it's easier to spread and easier to pipe. Anyways, I have a video out on YouTube titled something like The Secrets to Filling a Cake Decorating Bag or a Piping Bag, and then how to smooth the top of a cake. And I've had several responses or questions on what was my icing recipe. So I'm finally getting around to making that video. I love this recipe because number one, it colors much better than frosting made using butter, right? Because it's pure white with the Crisco. Number two, it doesn't melt in the heat of the tropics, right? So, or even in the south, when it's 90 degrees outside, the frosting's not going to melt off the cake or cupcake. And number three, it feels very soft and it's easy to pipe when you've got your hand on that piping bag. Alright, so I'm going to continue to sift this. This is 2 pounds of powdered sugar. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add in a ½ teaspoon of cream of tartar and a pinch of salt. We'll just mix it all in there. To the bowl, I'm going to add 1 cup of white Crisco. And this is a name brand shortening, okay, because it's pure white. Now when I developed this recipe, I was using a KitchenAid stand mixer, which is of course stronger than the handheld mixer I'm going to use. But what I've done is I've added just a little bit more Crisco and water. So the original recipe, which is in my cookbook, A Taste of Guam, because I grew up on Guam and my mom decorated cakes. Anyway, so this is 1 cup of Crisco. And again, if you were using a stand mixer, you would just add the 1 cup of Crisco and the water. But because I'm using a handheld mixer, I'm adding an extra 2 tablespoons of Crisco. Okay, so this is extra for the handheld mixer. And my normal recipe is a ½ cup of water for the KitchenAid stand mixer. But because I'm using a hand mixer, I'm going to add an extra tablespoon of water. So I'll put the written recipe in the description section below the video. And all you do is turn this on low first. And once it gets all mixed up, unless you want to wear powdered sugar all over, we'll turn it up to medium. In a KitchenAid stand mixer, like a 4.5 quart bowl, you can double this recipe, so you'll be using 4 pounds of powdered sugar and 2 cups of water. I'm sorry, 2 cups of Crisco and 1 cup of water. But since I'm using a hand mixer, this will work. And then you just kind of come around the bowl and get all that dry stuff. I'm going to turn this up to high. And it's very simple, very easy. Okay, Crisco's not as healthy as butter, but really, if you're into health, you have no business going near cupcakes and cakes, so, What I like about this recipe also is that you can set it on your counter for a day. If you have a lot to do, just mix your frosting today and use it tomorrow. This also, if I remember correctly, freezes very well. Okay, I'm going to put this in a container. I wish I had a smaller container, but I don't. So when you color this, there's different types of coloring out there, different brands. I prefer the gel that you squeeze out of a bottle. Not the transparent gel, the little tubes at your average grocery store, but it's cake decorating gel you buy from, you know, some baking company online. Because the colors are much better. You can use powdered coloring, but that gets very expensive. And if you have to, you know, as a last, well, I wouldn't say last resort, but the paste food coloring is okay too. It's just that sometimes 2 bottles of blue used in the same amount of coloring just doesn't come out to the same color. So, you know, if you're just doing this once in a while, it's okay. Get the little tubes of paste from the, you know, craft store or the grocery store. But if you do this a lot, then I would suggest looking online for a good quality gel type coloring. Now there's going to be bubbles in the frosting, especially when you use the KitchenAid stand mixer. All you have to do once, you know, you're ready to use it, and if you've previously frozen the icing, if you freeze it, you gotta, you know, take it off, and again, go along the edges and take off the crystallized part. It will not crystallize under the mass of icing, but it could along the edges. Anyways, then you just kind of get your rubber spatula and you know, whip it around a little bit. It'll pop some of those air bubbles. Okay, but press this down along the edges. Okay, that way, no air. If air gets to this, it's going to dry out. So you have a little bit of drying out here, but you can pick that up with a rubber spatula or a spoon. And I'm just going to go across again. And then we'll just cover this with the cover and put it in the freezer.